What's the one mistake that wrecked your body? My entire self-worth in my early 20s was tied to the little pitted scars my teenage acne left behind. Professional treatments like laser were way out of my budget, so I fell down the dark rabbit hole of DIY skincare blogs. I stumbled upon this holistic wellness site that promised a safe, all-natural at-home chemical peel. The recipe seemed so simple, just some highly concentrated glycolic acid I bought from a sketchy bulk chemical website, mixed with fresh lemon juice and a few other kitchen ingredients. The blogger swore it was the secret to flawless skin without the dermatologist's price tag. I was desperate, so I believed her. I slathered the mixture on my cheeks, expecting the mild tingle the blog described. What I got was a white-hot, searing agony. It felt like my skin was literally melting. I remember frantically splashing my face with cold water, my heart pounding in my ears, but the chemical had already done its work in those few seconds of contact. The burns eventually healed, but they left something much worse than the original acne scars. I now have these smooth, waxy patches of discolored skin across my cheeks. No amount of foundation can hide the strange texture, and my skin is so permanently sensitive that even a few minutes in the sun feels like a threat. I sometimes see old photos and I just feel this profound sense of loss for the face I used to hate so much. I would liquidate my entire life savings, sell my car, and live in a box if it meant I could undo that one single stupid decision. In my small town, high school basketball was everything, and I was the star player. We were in the championship final, down by 1 point with seconds on the clock. The entire gymnasium felt electric with pressure. During a frantic rebound, I landed wrong. I felt a distinct, sickening pop in my left knee, followed by a surge of white-hot pain. I stumbled, and my coach screamed from the sideline, "Walk it off, champ. We need you." Fueled by adrenaline and the roar of the crowd, I made a choice. I ignored the screaming alarm bells in my body and stayed in the game. At halftime, I got it taped up so tight I could barely feel my foot. I hobbled through the second half, and at the final buzzer, I sank the winning shot. The crowd stormed the court. I was lifted onto shoulders, a hometown hero. For one night, the glory was intoxicating. The next morning, I woke up to a grotesquely swollen, immobile knee and a pain that made me physically ill. A doctor later explained that by continuing to play, I turned a simple ACL tear into a catastrophic blowout, shredding my meniscus and grinding away nearly all the cartilage. It cost me my college scholarship. Now, at 40, that night cost me something every single day. I can't kneel to play with my kids. I can't run. Every single step, especially on stairs, is a grinding, agonizing reminder. The trophy is just a dusty relic, but the pain is forever. I would drain my 401k to zero just to go back to that moment, sit my butt on the bench, and take the loss. I was 19 at my first big music festival, and being perceived as cool was more important than anything. My favorite metal band, a group famous for being painfully loud, was about to play. In my friend group, wearing earplugs was a sign of weakness, something only old people did. When I saw an open spot right in front of one of the massive 6-foot-tall speaker stacks, I knew I had to take it. My friends hung back, but I pushed through the crowd, fueled by cheap beer and a desperate need to have the most intense experience. I wanted to feel the bass in my chest, to have a story to tell. I stood there, right in the blast zone for the entire 2-hour set. As soon as the music stopped, the world went muffled, like I was underwater. I expected that. But underneath it, a new sound emerged, a shrill, high-pitched "ee." I laughed it off to my friends, saying my ears were ringing for glory. I was sure it would be gone by morning. It wasn't. A week later, the shriek was still there, a constant companion. An audiologist diagnosed me with severe, permanent tinnitus and major high-frequency hearing loss. That sound has never left. It's a phantom alarm clock that wakes me up and a tormentor that keeps me from sleep. True, beautiful silence is now just a distant memory. I would empty my bank account and give up every worldly possession to go back to that night and just take 3 steps back from that speaker. 2 hours of feeling the music wasn't worth a lifetime of this internal scream. I was 25, full of more testosterone than sense, and completely smitten with a girl who always worked out near the deadlift platform. One afternoon, determined to get her attention, I decided it was time to set a new personal record. My brain screamed at me that it was too much, but my ego screamed louder. I loaded the bar with a weight I had no business touching. My form felt wrong from the moment I gripped the bar, my lower back already curving into a dangerous C shape. But I glanced over, saw she was watching, and committed to the lift. Halfway up, it happened. It wasn't just a pop. It was a hot, wet, tearing sensation in my lower back, followed by what felt like a bolt of pure electricity shooting down my leg. I dropped the weight with a deafening crash and collapsed to the floor in a heap. The result was a severely herniated L5S1 disc that crushed my sciatic nerve. Surgery helped, but the nerve damage is permanent. Now, years later, the real pain isn't the constant burning in my leg. It's when my little girl, my toddler, toddles over and raises her arms to me, saying, "Up, Daddy, up," and I have to say no. I can't lift her without risking agonizing pain and another blowout. I can't even remember that girl's name from the gym, but I will forever be haunted by the fact that a moment of stupid pride cost me the simple, beautiful joy of picking up my own child. I would give everything I own to go back, strip those plates off, and walk away with only a bruised ego. I became obsessed with the vintage hourglass silhouette. On social media, I saw these influencers with impossibly tiny waists and dramatic curves, and I believe that was the peak of female beauty. I didn't just want it, I felt like I needed it. My journey started with simple waist trainer garments, but I quickly graduated to custom-made steel-bone corsets built for extreme tight lacing. I wore them for over 18 hours a day, cinching them a little tighter each week. I ignored the shortness of breath, the deep bruises that painted my skin, and the constant, dull ache. In my mind, this discomfort was simply the price of admission to beauty. The pain meant it was working. After about a year of this relentless compression, my body started to fight back. Even when the corset was off, I was in agony. I had crippling acid reflux that felt like fire in my throat, chronic constipation, and a persistent gnawing pain in my abdomen. I couldn't even eat a normal-sized meal without feeling nauseous and bloated. Finally, after a night spent curled up on the bathroom floor with cramps, I went to a doctor. MRI revealed the horrifying truth. The years of constant, intense pressure had literally rearranged my insides. My lower ribs were permanently bent inward, and my digestive organs were compressed and displaced. The damage, the doctor said gently, is irreversible. Now the corsets sit in a dusty box in my closet. My perfect waistline is gone, but the legacy of my obsession remains. I can't enjoy a dinner out with friends. I can't go a single day without that dull internal ache. I'd give up every penny I'll ever earn to go back and tell my younger self that a number on a measuring tape isn't worth a lifetime of internal ruin. Growing up in the 2000s, being pale was social suicide. Every magazine cover, every celebrity, every cool girl at school was bronzed to perfection. I was naturally fair-skinned, and I hated it. I believed a healthy glow from a tanning bed was the only way I'd ever feel attractive. So, at 16, I started. It became my ritual, my addiction. I'd go 3 or 4 times a week, lying in that warm, blue-lit coffin, feeling the hum of the machine as it baked me. My friends and I would compare our tan lines, treating it like a competition. I saw the little warning posters on the wall about skin cancer, but I was a teenager. I was invincible. It was just hysteria. Fast forward 15 years. My husband pointed out a weird-looking mole on my shoulder blade, a place I never really see. It was darker than my other freckles, with an irregular edge. I blew it off for months, but he kept nagging me until I finally made a dermatologist appointment, mostly just to shut him up. It wasn't nothing. It was malignant melanoma. The words we caught it early were immediately drowned out by the word cancer. The surgeon had to perform a wide excision, carving out a huge chunk of tissue around the mole to make sure they got it all. It left a deep, ugly, crater-like scar on my back. But the physical scar is nothing compared to the psychological one. I now live with a constant, low-level hum of terror. Every new freckle sends a jolt of panic through me. A sunny day isn't a joy. It's a threat. I have to get my entire body checked by a doctor every 6 months for the rest of my life, each time holding my breath, waiting for them to find another one. The tan I so desperately wanted faded in a week, but the fear is forever. I'd write a check for every dollar I have to get rid of not just the scar, but this feeling of being a ticking time bomb. My obsession was a body I just wasn't born with. Every time I scrolled through social media, I was flooded with images of these exaggerated, perfect curves. I felt flat, invisible, and deeply insecure. A real Brazilian butt lift was tens of thousands of dollars, a price I could never afford. Then I found a solution. A woman in an online forum was praised for her work. She wasn't a doctor, but an esthetician who performed injections out of her apartment for a fraction of the cost. She assured me she used a medical-grade hydrogel filler. I was so desperate for the result that I chose to believe her. The clinic was her spare bedroom. It wasn't clean, and the pain of the injections was beyond excruciating, but I gritted my teeth and told myself it would be worth it. For the first year, it almost seemed like it was. The result was lumpy and uneven, but bigger. Then the real nightmare started. The injection sites became red, hot, and hard as rocks. The substance began to migrate, creating painful, grotesque lumps that moved down my thighs and up my lower back. My new life is a series of horrified doctors' faces looking at my MRI scans. They confirmed my worst fear. I was injected with free-floating, industrial-grade silicone, the kind you use to seal a bathtub. It has now fused with my muscle and tissue, making it impossible to ever fully remove without risking paralysis or limb amputation. I'm now a case study in a medical journal. My pursuit of a trendy body shape has turned me into a medical freak show. I live in constant, chronic pain, and my future is an endless cycle of incredibly risky surgeries just to manage the inflammation. I would give everything I have to go back to that day, to love the body I was born in, and to not be filled with poison. I started smoking at 15. It was the 90s, and smoking was the epitome of cool. It was in every movie, every music video. It was a social key that unlocked conversations and made me feel sophisticated and rebellious. That first cigarette cemented a 20-year habit. Even as the world turned against smokers, I clung to it. It was part of my identity. The morning coffee wasn't complete without it. Stress at work was managed by it. A beer with friends demanded it. I tried to quit a few times, but the addiction always pulled me back. I tell myself, the bad stuff happens to other people, not me. Then, in my late 30s, my voice started to go. It became a persistent, scratchy hoarseness that I couldn't shake. I blamed allergies, cold, anything but the obvious. It got so bad I could barely manage a whisper. My wife finally dragged me to a doctor. The diagnosis was stage 3 laryngeal cancer. To save my life, they had to perform a total laryngectomy, the complete removal of my voice box. I woke up from surgery with a hole in my neck called stoma, which is now how I breathe. The cool habit cost me my voice. I can't laugh. I can't sing. I can't yell at a football game. I can't whisper to my wife in the dark. To speak, I have to press a device against my throat that makes me sound like a robot. Every conversation is a draining, humiliating performance. I would give every cent I have, live in poverty for the rest of my days, just to say I love you in my own voice one more time. I was 20 years old and obsessed with being skinny for an upcoming spring break trip. In my mind, diet and exercise were too slow, too much work. I wanted a shortcut, a magic bullet. I found it on a flashy, unregulated website that promised to torch fat in weeks. The bottle of pills I ordered was called something like Inferno Burn 3000. The ingredients were a mystery, just a proprietary energy blend. The website was full of obvious stock photos and fake reviews, but my desperation to be thin drowned out all the alarm bells. I wanted to believe in the magic. When I started taking them, the effect was immediate. I was buzzing with a frantic, jittery energy, and my appetite vanished. The weight was falling off, but I also started getting heart palpitations. My pulse would race while I was just sitting down. I told myself that was just the pills working. One night, I was in the campus library studying when a crushing pain bloomed in my chest. It felt like an elephant was sitting on me. The world went gray, and I collapsed. I woke up in a hospital bed. A cardiologist explained that I had suffered a heart attack. The diet pills, they discovered, were packed with illegal, dangerously high doses of banned stimulants that had put my heart under extreme stress. The damage was permanent. I now have chronic arrhythmia and a weakened heart muscle. I'm 32 years old on daily beta blockers, and I can't even run up a flight of stairs without getting dizzy. I live in fear of my own heartbeat. That one-week vacation is a distant, meaningless memory. But the consequence of wanting to look good for it is my daily reality. I give every penny I have to get my strong, healthy heart back. In the world of extreme body modification, you're always chasing the next level, something that sets you apart. I saw scleral tattoos online, the practice of tattooing the whites of the eyes, and I became obsessed. The solid black eyes looked so beautifully inhuman, so striking. I had to have it. A real professional was too far away and too expensive. So I made the worst decision of my life. I let a friend, a talented tattoo artist who had never done the procedure before but was confident he could figure it out from videos, do it. He used a standard tattoo needle and regular black ink. The first I was just agonizing pain. The second was a disaster. I felt a sharp, deep piercing, a pain so profound it made me scream. My vision in that I immediately went dark and blurry, like looking through a glass of ink. The botched job unleashed a medical hell. I developed a raging infection, a detached retina, and severe, untreatable glaucoma. The vision in that eye is gone forever. But what I didn't expect, and what's so much worse, is the constant grinding pain. The damage left me with extreme photophobia. I have to wear dark sunglasses indoors. The faintest light feels like a spike being driven into my skull. My head throbs 24/7 with a deep, aching misery that no medication can touch. My unique look is now just a brand. It's the mark of my own stupidity. The shock value I wanted is nothing compared to the daily reality of my suffering. I can't enjoy a sunny day. I can't read a book. I can't escape the pain. I would gladly give every penny I have and will ever earn to just have my normal, boring, healthy eyes back.